All right, joining us now to react, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, our dear friend who it seems has been in the doghouse with the White House in recent days. Tell us about that, Congressman.
Well, I don't know what White House staffer thought it was a good idea to smear me to the Washington Post, but I don't think that discrediting me does any good service to the president. Remember, it was years ago I was one of the first to say that there was an illegal coup being prosecuted against the president. You mentioned Syria in your monologue. It was the establishment Republicans, in fact, 2/3 of the Republican conference, who joined with all of the Democrats on October 17th to pass a resolution condemning the president for removing us from the Syrian civil war. I was the only, I stress, the only Republican who took to the floor to defend the Trump doctrine that we should kill the terrorists and then return home and not engage in these endless unconstitutional wars. I know that President Trump is the most anti-war president of my lifetime, and I am hopeful that the successful execution of the Trump doctrine will get us out of the Middle East, where we have spilled $7 trillion and the blood of America's bravest patriots, including my dear constituents from Florida.
All right, Congressman, totally agree with you on that. And you know we see the world in very similar ways. And as I said, good friend of this show. But I don't want to go on about it, but I do just want, there's one thing that I was confused about in terms of your vote last week. And I'd love you to explain it to our audience, which is, it seemed to me that, you can have a good constitutional discussion over their powers over war and so on. And of course, it's true that friends should be able to disagree. My goodness me, I've done that many times. But this thing that you voted for, it sounded like it was just it seemed like just basically a pointless thing, a kind of press release from Nancy Pelosi. I just wasn't clear why you felt it was the right thing to do to vote for that.
That resolution offered no criticism of the president. It offered no criticism of any of his policies. Matter of fact, it didn't even include General Soleimani's name. What that resolution did do was lay out the very serious threat that Iran poses. It established a robust basis for our self-defense. And in fact, I think that the killing of Soleimani would have been justified under the war power resolution that was passed, and certainly not prohibited. And so I think that I was advancing an America First pro-Trump doctrine by saying the president should kill the terrorists and then return home. But this is far more important than any one president. I don't believe that any president should have the ability to commit our troops to these endless wars. And I think that was an issue that was resolved by George Washington in 1791.
So just final word on Iran. Overall, you're happy with what the president's done here?
I am totally supportive of the decisions the president has made, and I think that we see it working. Specifically, we see that we don't have to engage in a forever war to win in the Middle East. President Trump has proven that by enhancing America's economy, we strengthen the tools in our arsenal to engage in economic war against our enemies. Right now, the Iranian regime is crumbling under the maximum pressure campaign that I completely support, but we don't enhance our ability to wage successful economic war on our adversaries and enemies when we go and spill America's blood and treasure in these endless Middle East adventures. So I think making our country stronger and then making sure that we don't allow any president in the future to make the mistakes of the Obama-Bush doctrine, that is the true way to make sure that the Trump legacy survives and is successful in the Middle East and throughout the world.
All right, let's move to impeachment. You were pretty much the star of the impeachment hearings in the House, and you had that opportunity there to show how ludicrous the process was and what a farce the whole thing was. We're not going to really see that when it gets to the Senate. They're going to be endlessly, sort of pompously debating it, and there's going to be a trial rather than the hearings and so on. How do you see this unfolding in the Senate when it finally gets there?
I think that the president has very good counsel in Pat Cipollone, and it's my expectation that our opening statement will lay out all of the hypocrisy of the House Democrats. First, they said it was this emergency, that the president was a clear and present danger to the country. Then they sat on this resolution, these impeachment articles, for weeks. Initially, they told us that the FBI did nothing wrong. Then the Obama-appointed inspector general comes out and points out how time and again the FBI altered evidence and then wasn't straight with a FISA court as they were unfairly pursuing the president of the United States. So I think framing this not just in terms of the Ukraine, but in terms of this coup attempt to go against everything and everything that our great president is trying to do, I think that's the way that we do more than just win the vote in the Senate. We have to win the case with the American people that this is the radical left unable to win an actual argument with the president about our economy, about our standing in the world, and so they're impeaching him in lieu of an agenda. I think we have to make that political argument alongside the very justified legal argument that the president did nothing wrong and imposed no conditionality on the Ukrainians, and the Ukrainians have said time and again that they felt no conditionality.